top allies in Congress, Congressman Mark Meadows.
Great to be with you.
Thank you, from North Carolina. You're also a member of the president's legal team. I should say it is extremely bright up here.
I tell you what, we're going to bring a bright light to the Capitol behind us, but we've got it out here
Exactly,
today.
exactly. So you are a member of the president's defense team, as are several of your other fellow House Republicans.
Right.
The president was in Davos during the first day. You spoke with him. What is his feeling so far?
Well, I think for most Americans, they agree with the president that they want to get this over with. Certainly, he's been monitoring it, and so while he's talking about the great economy in Davos and how he's helping the American worker, he's certainly connecting and making sure that he stays connected with the defense team. I think probably the frustrating thing was all the different amendments that were given, in 2 o'clock in the morning before it got over with. I think everybody wants to get to the facts of the case and say, does it support impeachment or not?
Okay, so on that note, what the House managers and the Senate Democrats argued that they were doing until 2 in the morning is trying to do that, is trying to get the facts that the White House has been withholding, the witnesses that the White House has not let come up and
that's
testify.
A false narrative.
Why
I mean, you've covered it. I was in the SCIF with Adam Schiff. Well, you weren't in the SCIF, but you were down there covering it, and you know what they've done. If they were serious about witnesses, if they were truly serious about witnesses, not only would they have subpoenaed the witnesses they want and left those subpoenas in place, but they withdrew those. But here's the other interesting thing. They somehow believe that their perfect case, when they look at it, they have an undisputable case. It's their words, not mine. And yet here we get to the Senate, and now they're wanting more witnesses.
Okay, let's talk about witnesses in a second.
Sure.
Let's just talk about some of the documents and the information that they say could and should bolster their case.
Well, could is a key word.
But they don't know because they haven't been able
exactly.
to. What they argue is that
you
they're
don't
prosecuting
impeach a president and then go on a fishing expedition in the Senate. It's just not the way our Constitution is set up, Dana.
Well, but how do we know that? The Constitution allows for the Senate to work there aren't specific prescriptions for how the trial.
For the House, it is their job to investigate.
Right. But when it comes to the trial, if you are a juror, Republican or a Democrat, why not get as much information so that you can make the right decision based on all of the facts, not just the facts that the White House wants to provide or not provide because perhaps they're worried about what it would do.
That's saying that they're guilty until proven innocent, and that's not who we are as Americans.
And do you think that withholding it suggests that he's guilty? So if he's not guilty, why not give it over?
Because that's suggesting that someone's guilty without the facts. Here's what we do know. We know that indeed the House has a job to investigate. If they wanted additional facts, additional witnesses, then what they shouldn't have done is impeached 30 days ago, right before Christmas. Why the rush? I mean, we've got an election coming up in November, but yet here they are trying to make a compelling case on the Senate floor that somehow their case that they believe is ironclad is not ironclad. They need more witnesses, more evidence. And here's the interesting thing. It's a false narrative. We already have President Zelensky saying he wasn't pressured. We have 5 different people that actually have had direct communication with the President of the United States that said that there's no crime here and there's no impeachable offense.
Congressman, I want to read this to you because this is what the White House put out on that issue.
Right.
Okay. President Zelensky says, "Thank you so much for your great support in the area of defense. We're ready to continue to cooperate for the next steps. Specifically, we're almost ready to buy more javelins from the United States for defense purposes."
Right.
The president then says, "I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot," and so on and so forth.
Right.
When the president of Ukraine talks about defense, and then the president of the United States then goes into, "I would do us a favor."
Yeah, but you're having to talk to somebody who understands that a lot better than anybody. So for the American people,
but there's such a power discrepancy between the president of Ukraine. Go ahead.
So let me respond. So here's the answer to that.
Yeah.
Is when we're talking about selling javelins, and that's what that was. It was not Ukrainian aid, because the Ukrainian aid was a totally separate thing. That was about selling javelins and letting the Ukrainians pay for that, and that's a totally different process that is not even part of this impeachment process.
And you don't think the president of Ukraine could have taken that as
Well, he said he didn't. I don't think.
Okay.
So now you're saying the president of Ukraine is lying about it?
I'm not saying he's lying. I'm just saying that what do you expect him to say? He wants the money and he wants to be on good terms.
But that has nothing to do with
Trump.
the money. And I want to make that clear to the viewers. That particular statement was about Ukraine buying javelins. And by the way, the only javelins they ever got was under the Trump administration, not the Obama administration.
I want to change to something else because you mentioned this, and this was a big part of your broader defense on the Senate floor yesterday, which is Jay Sekulow saying, basically, how can you say that you don't have everything you want when you rush through? You didn't go to the courts. If you want something from us that we don't think is proper, go to the courts and ask. At the very same time, the Trump administration is arguing in front of federal court that they have no access to anything that they are looking at. This is a different case, but more broadly. So they're saying go to the court
on the executive privilege issues.
On the one hand, they're saying in the building behind us, go to court.
Right.
But the people here who are prosecuting this case know full well that the administration is saying in court, you have no access to this information. So isn't it a bit of a contradiction?
Well, it's not a contradiction because now what we have is Adam Schiff saying that he's not going to get a fair shake from the executive branch, but he's also saying he's not going to get a fair shake from the judiciary branch. I mean, how many more people can he blame for him not having the evidence to bring forth to the American people and try this? Here, it would be a more credible argument had they actually subpoenaed John Bolton and Kupperman and left those subpoenas in place and working through the judiciary. But what they were afraid of is that they would get a response from the judiciary that sided with the president, so they withdrew.
One last question.
Yeah, sure.
The latest CNN poll shows that nearly 7 in 10, 69%, say that there should be more information if needed and new witnesses.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable given that? Well, let me ask you this way. Why not allow John Bolton to testify?
Well, I mean, if we're going to look, listen, when we start to look at it, the executive privilege aspect of that, I don't know that John Bolton has anything to add.
So why not let him try then?
Well, but so we can. Let's take the impeachment articles back. Let's go back to the House. I was there. You know, here's what we've done is we've actually put forth a case to be tried, and then all of a sudden we're saying, well, we want more people to come in to bolster a case that is flawed to begin with, and you don't do that, not to the President of the United States, but more importantly, not to the American people. And so that's my issue with it. At the same time, what that's saying is if there's 7 in 10 that want more witnesses, it means there's 7 in 10 that believe that there's not enough evidence to convict this president of impeachment.
I'm not sure that's how the question was asked.
Well, that's the way I would interpret it.
I'm sure it would. All right. Thank you, Congressman. I appreciate